Hello, and welcome to Junior College Planning Night from January 2022. I'm Ms. Corrigan, one of the counselors in the guidance office, and I'm going to share with you information about the college search process and our timeline for working with our juniors during the remainder of the school year. Our outline for this event has been emailed to you, so you can follow along that way, or I'm going to put up the slideshow here. The college search and application process may seem stressful, but anxiety can be minimized with thorough research, organization, and clear communication. All of the counselors in our office are here to help you and your child walk with you through this process, and we ask that you ask questions and seek us out if there's anything that you're unsure of. We really are here for you. So just a little bit of the timeline for the remainder of the school year and into the summer. So this week, counselors are meeting with our students in small groups during a class to go over this same information that we're going over with parents. To review the college search and application process, we will be discussing transcripts and graduation requirements. We ask that students review their transcript, which is posted in the backpack on Infinite Campus portal, to make sure that all information is correct. Date of birth, address, and that every high school level class that they took is posted on there. Students should already be registered with Naviance, as we have utilized this program in the past since they were freshmen, and we will continue, and they should be continuing to plan their standardized testing throughout the remainder of this school year. Just a couple important dates that I want you to be aware of. The college panel night will be hosted on March 24th at 7 p.m. This is an event for both students and parents. It's a great night where we have admissions counselors from a variety of different colleges that will speak directly to you about how they evaluate applicants, what they're looking for in applicants. And then we have breakouts where you can hear directly from that counselor about that particular college that they represent, what different programs they have, what their different specific admission requirements are. And then our Rising Senior College Night on June 9th at 7 p.m. is again for both students and parents. I say to my students that this is a really important night because we will not meet during the school day. And what we'll do at that time is to review the different college application components and what they should be doing over the summer to be in a good place when we get back in September. We'll make some goals for September. We give some summer homework. Things move very quickly when they return in the fall. So we like to, kind of plan everything out so that they don't feel behind when they come back in the fall. So March 24th and June 9th, we will send reminders, but just to kind of keep track of those two important dates. So the way that the process works here in our office is the student is the driving force of how we move forward in the college search process. So the first component of that is that the student must complete the college planning questionnaire. This is located as an assignment in the guidance Google Classroom. The questionnaire asks your student to think about a variety of different things as it relates to college. They might have an idea of what they're looking for, or they might not be sure. And that's why we ask some of those questions. We ask students that they give it some thought and to really not rush through it, and to be diligent in their responses on that questionnaire. Once they complete that questionnaire, they submit it on Google Classroom, and then they make a full period appointment to meet with their counselor. Their counselor will meet individually with the student, and after that meeting, we'll develop a list of prospective colleges that we think might be a good fit for the student. That list of colleges will be posted on Naviance under colleges I'm thinking about. This can be viewed by both students and parents. Parents, you will get your own access to your child's Naviance account so that you can log in yourself and see what your child sees, and you can view that list as well. And even add to that list. I'll talk more about that in a little bit. And then after that list is posted, students and parents are able to schedule a meeting with your counselor to review the individual college list. So at that point, the student and parent can come in and meet with the counselor individually to go over the list and then to answer any other individual questions. So the student completes a questionnaire, submits it to the counselor, meets with the counselor develops a list of colleges, and then together, the student, parent, and counselor can meet all together to go over it. I mentioned a little bit about Naviance. Naviance is our web-based program that we use throughout the application process. So for junior year, what we use it for is for the college search and exploration process. Anything that is used on Naviance, there's a variety of different search tools on Naviance. This program will compare your child to any North High graduate who has applied to a particular school. So it gives a sense as to where are North High students, just like my student, where are they getting into, or what does it take of a North High student to get accepted into a particular school. On Naviance, we have tasks that are assigned to juniors. This is just another way of helping your child to stay organized in the college search process of things they should be doing throughout the course of the remainder of this year to keep them on track and ahead, and so that they feel like they don't, there's nothing that they're missing. Naviance is also the program that we use in the school for their senior year. It's the program in which we send transcripts to colleges, and that the teachers send letters of recommendation to colleges. So that's how we use it in senior year, but this year is really just for college exploration. So things that we kind of look at when we're talking about life after high school, we ask students to formulate what they would like to do after high school, if that's college, if that's taking a break or what we would consider a gap year, if it's working or going into the military, and to really develop an opinion about that. We tell our students to really have open communication with parents so that they're aware of what parents' expectations are for them, and that everybody can, try to get onto the same page. There's a lot of information online as it relates to colleges, and sometimes I feel like it could be overwhelming. We recommend that students start with our guidance website has resources specifically as it relates to colleges. We have a college spotlight that we've been doing for a number of years. There's a little bit of, you can get specific information about a variety of different colleges. Naviance, as I mentioned, has their own college search tools on their site. And then individual college websites have their own, can have a lot of information on them. Also, what is a benefit of the current state of affairs is that almost all colleges have virtual college visits. So you can kind of get an inside look into colleges just from the comfort of your own home and, by having a device. So we recommend that students sign up for virtual visits so that they get a sense as to what colleges have to offer, and so they can start to get a certain feel for that college. If colleges have in-person visits, that's also a great way to get a sense as to if you feel like this is the right place for me, and if you could see yourself, as a student there. The way to register for either of those, virtual or in person, is to go to the individual college website under the college admissions page and click on college visits and register. It's important to us that students have a comprehensive college list. Oftentimes people say, how many schools should I apply to? It's not so much about the number as it's about schools in each of these three categories that we consider to be a healthy list. So a target school, a reach school, and likely school. A target school accepts students just like your student has a similar academic profile that they should get accepted into because they in the past have accepted students just like your child. A reach school is looking for students who have a higher academic profile than your student. Looking to take students who have more rigorous course load and perform better in those courses. And a likely school is a school that your child should get into, except students with a lower academic profile than your student. I think likely or safety schools, as they're often referred to, get a bad rep. That I always tell students that they really should seriously consider a school that is considered a likely school. You're more likely to receive merit scholarship, meaning scholarship based purely on how you've performed in high school, if you're applying to a likely school. So if finances are of a concern, that's something to keep in mind. But really, a student might feel the most comfortable at a likely school. That might be the place that has the best academic program for them. It might be in the best location for them. So really, it's important to consider schools in all three of these categories. Students often have in their minds reach schools. So when they meet with their counselor, it's important to us to make sure that their list has schools in all of these three categories. And so we like to balance out the list. So we often will be adding schools in the target and likely range as opposed to continuing to add on the reach schools. I mentioned earlier about gap year. Some students do choose to take a year off or to do a non-academic program for a year. We do have a page on our site about that. Please speak directly to, we tell students to speak directly to their counselor about that if that's something they're seriously considering. So what do colleges look for? There's 5 major components of a college application. First and foremost is the transcript. Nothing is going to take place of how what your student does as a student, how they are as a student, what they take as a student, because they're applying to college to be a student. So what is going to be looked at is the type of classes that your child takes, the courses that they take, and how they do in them with each passing year. So it doesn't necessarily mean that every college is looking to see, did they take the highest level course that we offer here at North High? That's not appropriate for every student. Did they appropriately challenge themselves with each passing year? And what that means for each student is going to be something different. So it's looked at very individually. Here in Great Neck, we do not rank students, and our overall GPAs and cumulative averages are unweighted. Colleges don't blindly take GPAs from our GPA and blindly compare students to other high school students who calculate GPA differently. High schools all over the country calculate GPAs differently. So they're really looking to see, what did you take and how did you do in those classes? As well as what's on the transcript that's sent to colleges so the transcript is all the final grades in all of your high school level classes. So right now there's no grades that are on there for junior year, but at the end of junior year, those grades will be posted. And then also the schedule for senior year will also be on that. And colleges are looking really closely at this year because this is closer, junior year is closer to the age of the student that the college is accepting, as well as what are you taking senior year, and how are you continuing to grow as a student during your senior year, because that's closer to the age of the college student that they're accepting. Extracurricular activities are a component of the application. How do your activities further explain what you say you're interested in? There is no one activity that is going to take place over how you do as a student, but it's going to help support what you say you're interested in. If a student says that they're interested in becoming a veterinarian and are you a member of our animal rights club here? Do you volunteer at an outside animal shelter? How are you further saying that this is an interest of mine? We have a variety of clubs and activities here at school. That doesn't mean you have to be involved in them here, but we have been saying to our students, you should have something constructive that you say that you have been doing during high school, so that you are actively figuring out what your interests are, and then kind of starting to kind of hone in on that interest and developing that. Recommendations. Your child's counselor will we write recommendations for all of our seniors. They're very individualized. There is summer homework. That's that autobiographical character sketch that every student must complete before we write that in the fall. And then it is recommended that your child asks two core academic teachers, preferably from junior year. Core academic teachers are English, math, social studies, science, or language, to write a letter on their behalf. They get to choose who writes for them. As you can imagine, teachers who teach juniors often get a lot of students to ask them to write for them. We ask them to, really give it some thought, and when they know who they want to write for them, to ask that teacher in person. Oftentimes what happens is the teachers will start towards the end of the year, will start to post different information on their classroom or mention in their class if they have their own process of how to go about asking them to write for them. So just kind of keep their ears and eyes open, and to ensure that they are on their teacher's radar if they want that teacher to write for them. Supplementary letters from other recommenders, such as employers, supervisors, coaches, advisors. Some colleges will accept those, but some won't accept them at all. But they never take place of the teacher letter. So if a college is requiring a teacher letter, you can't send an advisor letter instead of that. Okay. So students need to, have teacher letters, as a requirement. Essay, not something for the students to worry about right this second, but the essay is the student's voice of the application. All the other components of the application are other people talking about the applicant, or them just reiterating information about themselves and what, their accomplishments or what they've already done. So this is the place for them to talk about themselves. For some students, it's very difficult to do, which is okay. What students should be doing right now in order to make that process easier for themselves is to work on their writing, to meet with their English teacher for writing conferences, so that when it comes time to prepping that essay, that comes a little bit easier to them. Our English teachers help students all the time during the fall with that essay kind of like editing. But it's something that they can definitely work on by working with their English teacher now. The standardized testing is the last component of the college application. More and more schools are becoming test optional. Not all schools have announced whether or not they will be test optional for next year's cohort. So it is important to do some research to see if they've announced if they're test optional, throughout this spring. But we do advise that students take the SAT or ACT at least once by the end of their junior year, because I don't want them to be put into a situation where there might be a college that they really want to apply to, but they didn't take any standardized testing, so they're not eligible. When looking at different colleges and applications, or if you attend visits, or you might start to hear different application terms. So it's important that you are aware of what these different terms mean. The common application is something that you might hear a lot, or the common app. The common application, or referred to as common app, is one application that the student fills out a lot of, very specific or, demographic information and where they went to high school, and thousands of colleges subscribe to it. So you can send it to a bunch of different schools. So you only have to fill out one application and you can send it to a bunch of different schools. You can actually, and then the individual colleges that you send it to will have their own what's called supplements that are college specific, that are shorter, that you then would send to the individual schools. So if a college says we're on the Common App, that's what they mean. That's the application that the student would fill out. The Coalition application is similar to the Common App, where it's one application and a bunch of different schools subscribe to it, so you can send it to a bunch of different schools. Not as user-friendly, I would say, as the Common App, but it is just another tool that a lot of colleges subscribe to. Colleges have different application deadlines, and not every school offers the same deadlines or the same application terms. So it's important to do research to see what are the application deadlines and application options for each individual school. Some schools will have early application deadlines. Early application deadlines mean that you submit your application by a particular deadline, and that they would also then have a regular decision deadline, which is just a month or 2 or 3 later than the earlier deadline. Okay, some of the early deadlines could be that a college has is early decision. Early decision is a binding agreement. If you apply early decision, that means that and you get in, that means that you are bound to attend that school. You can only apply early decision to one school. Students, parents, and counselor all have to sign off on an agreement that you are aware that it is a binding agreement. Early decision is for students who have done a lot of research, and they have visited a particular college when classes are in session and they see themselves as a student there, and parents are on board with your child going to that school, regardless of how much money that you might receive in financial aid. Early action is a non-binding agreement. So if a college has an early action deadline, that means that you submit your application by a particular deadline, you receive a decision back, but then you are not bound to attend that school. You have time to make a decision as to whether or not you want to go to that school. You can apply to numerous colleges early action. Okay. Priority is similar to early action. It's just another term that's utilized sometimes by schools for scholarship purposes, that they might have a priority deadline to submit by a certain date in order to be considered for a scholarship. Restrictive early action is a non-binding agreement, but it means that you can apply to other early action schools. Okay, when you apply early, you'll get one of 3 decisions. You're either accepted to the school, denied, or deferred. Deferred means that the college is not ready to make a decision yet on your application and will reread it when they read all the regular decision applicants. We've seen this a lot more in the past couple of years. When a student is deferred, what changes in their application is how they're doing in their senior year. So first and second quarter grades are a huge component of that application for that, for that particular student, and are considered is a big consideration in that process. And we reiterate that to students of, how they're doing their senior is a big part of this process. When you apply regular, it's just a deadline that would be after that early deadline, and you are you receive one of 3 decisions: accepted, denied, or waitlist. Waitlist means that the school is going to wait to see how many of their accepted students decide to attend that school. If they still have room in their freshman class, after they see how many students decide to attend, then they will offer acceptance to students off of the wait list. If you are waitlisted, the student must decide to deposit or keep in mind to attend another college, because there is no way of knowing whether or not a student will get off of a wait list. Colleges don't know if how many of their accepted students are going to decide to attend their school. Students have to make that decision by May 1st. So students don't come off of a wait list usually until late May or early June, or sometimes even later than that. When you're waitlisted, you really have to kind of consider other colleges that you were accepted, and keep that waitlist in the back of your mind. Maybe you might get off of it, but there's really no telling whether or not you will. Rolling admission means that colleges accept students on a rolling basis, whether it be the first day of high school or the last day of high school. They fill up seats in their freshman class on a first come, first served basis. Okay, so like I said earlier, not every college offers all of these application options for their particular college. So it's important to do your research to see, okay, like these are when the application deadlines are. They're hard deadlines. The system, the electronic system, won't even allow you to submit applications after deadlines. So it's important. This is why we're talking about it now in January, so that so that you can plan well ahead. Okay. I kind of mentioned this earlier about how to research colleges. Naviance has a variety of search tools. The individual college websites are a good resource. There's a variety of college search engines online. I think that can be a little bit, it can get a little overwhelming. And I mentioned about campus visits and virtual tours already. I also do want to mention our college admission summary report that is on the guidance website, on the guidance homepage on the right-hand side. This gives students, parents an idea of where are students just like me? Where are they going? Where are they getting into? Where are they not getting into? It's a summary of all of our graduates in the past 2 years, so you can get a sense as to where they applied, where they got in, where they didn't get in. Their names are not there, it's anonymous, but you can get a sense as to where are students just like me, where are they going. Standardized testing, I mentioned a little bit already, that it is strongly recommended that you take SATs or ACTs at least once by the end of your junior year, and map out your testing schedule for students. Students are responsible for registering for these exams on their own. It is there's a fee attached to registering. Students need to use the same account. So if a student has taken an AP exam before and they have a College Board account, they have to use that same account in order to register for the SAT. If you've registered for an ACT before, you have to use that same ACT account to register. Any student approved for accommodations, just check with your counselor before you register to ensure that you follow the right process in order to request those accommodations for those exams. Questions about standardized testing, please reach out individually to your counselor. We're here to help, and we can kind of, walk with you through it a little bit. The seats fill up on a first come, first serve basis. The school, North High, has nothing to do with the administration of these exams. They're outside organizations that use our building as a testing center at times. We can't squeeze one more desk in if the test center is full. So that's why it's important to plan. As you can see from this chart, that there are dates into next school year. There's definitely opportunities to take these exams at the start of senior year. There's a lot of other things that go on during senior year, so that's why we don't recommend that you wait until senior year to take these. I think I've said it a couple of times, but I can't stress enough that senior year really does matter in this process. We've definitely seen it more and more within the past couple of years. So like I had mentioned, that the current schedule, senior year schedule, will be posted on the transcript that gets sent to colleges. So not only do students need to kind of think about what they want to take during senior year, but to ensure that they are willing and able to be committed to those classes that they take for the entirety of their senior year. Once their transcript gets sent to a college, colleges are going to be looking for grades in your senior year classes. So any adjustment to those schedule, the student or applicant is responsible for reaching out directly to the college to inform them of any changes to their schedule, which is not ideal, quite frankly. Grades, whether it be first quarter grades to some colleges or mid-year grades, which is first and second quarter letter grades, get sent to almost every college that you will apply to. So they are considered in the application process. Final transcripts of how you finish your senior year is sent to the school that you will be attending. You can't register for classes until you successfully graduate from high school. So colleges will be looking to see how did you finish your high school years. So it's really important to, like senior year is a really huge component of this process. I hope that you found this helpful. And please, as I mentioned earlier, if you have any questions, you can follow up directly with your child's counselor. We are here to help, and during this, challenging, confusing, complicated time. So be well and seek us out if you have questions. Thank you.